Look around you. The endless scrolling feeds, the flashing ads, the sneaky pop-ups has been engineered to keep you weak and distracted and hooked. The so-called establishment isn't just faceless institutions or billion-pound conglomerates. It's every force out there that profits when you're too busy chasing cheap hits of dopamine to build something substantial for yourself. They feed you the shiny distractions so you never realize how much of your potential lies rotting. Every time you tap that screen for one more snippet of trivial entertainment, you're doing exactly what they want. You're staying small, staying pliable, staying under control. But here's the twist, you don't have to remain their pawn. There's a way of flipping the script and turn their greatest weapon, your own dopamine, into the engine that drives you straight through the grind into genuine success. So stick with me, and by the end of this, you'll know how to rewire your mind so that hard work feels more exciting than any social feed. Dopamine isn't just some pleasure molecule, it's your internal compass pointing towards what you value. The establishment knows this, and that's why they dangle petty thrills in front of your face every single day. They don't want you digging deep, they don't want you discovering that you can set a goal, push through pain, and emerge stronger on the other side. Because if you start doing that, if you start loving the struggle, you become absolutely unstoppable. And unstoppable minds aren't easily milked for profit or influence. Here's the funny thing, they've tricked you into thinking that dopamine is just about feeling good. And it's really not. It's about chasing what you've been taught to crave. And at the moment, most of you crave low effort novelty. That's why you can't concentrate on a single task for more than a few minutes. Your brain's been completely hijacked. Every ping, every alert, every flashy update, and these are the tools they use to keep you numb and obedient. Now imagine reversing all of it. Picture waking up eager to tackle brutal parts of your day. Where others see boredom and pain, you see a playground. Where others feel empty without constant distractions, you feel alive by leaning into challenges. And the first step is simple, but it's not easy. Reduce your tolerance for cheap thrills. For too long, you've been binging on low-grade stimulation. Your baseline is completely wrecked, it's out of whack. And when you try doing deep work, it feels like torture because your brain's used to fireworks every 10 seconds. Strip it all back, put your phone in another room when you want to work, stop wearing headphones everywhere, allow silence to invade your day. At first, this feels like you're going cold turkey. Your mind will lash out like a spoiled little brat. And that's good. Let it. Because once that baseline resets, suddenly a hard task isn't dull. It's a fresh source of real satisfaction. Your senses become sharper. Your focus is crisper. And that spreadsheet, that business plan, that marketing campaign you've been avoiding suddenly becomes stimulating compared to the calm you've grown accustomed to. So this is step one, detox from their superficial nonsense so that real effort can shine. So step two, conquer your breaks. Right now, your breaks are likely more stimulated than your actual work. You grind for a tiny bit, then reward yourself by checking social media. Well, congratulations guys, you've now just taught your brain that scrolling is a real party and your work, it's a tedious entry fee. So stop doing that. Instead, make your breaks so dull, they reset your brain. Just sit there and stare at a wall, take a silent walk without your phone, stretch, breathe slowly, let your mind calm down. And after 10 minutes of honest nothingness, getting back to challenging tasks will feel oddly refreshing. Suddenly the work itself is more interesting than the break. You're now using contrast to your advantage, turning every piece of productive effort into a dopamine spike. And this is the key insight. If your downtime is more boring than your work becomes the highlight. And that's when you start craving the grind. And that's when your effort transforms from a burden into something you can't wait to dive back into. Step three is inhabit the quiet spaces of your life. At every moment, every pause in your day is filled. When you wait in a queue, you check your phone. Waiting for a friend to arrive, quick scroll. Lift ride too slow, might as well see what's trending, right? And these tiny moments are training your mind to hate silence and always seek stimulation. So stop it. When you find yourself waiting, just wait. Observe the world, breathe, embrace that awkward nothingness. Over time, this makes low-level stimulation, like actually focusing on a single task. feel like a burst of color in a gray landscape. And this will sound uncomfortable and even alien because the establishment has normalized constant stimulation. They want every gap in your life filled with junk content. And when you refuse, your mind recalibrates. Now, reading a dense article or working through a complex problem becomes a dopamine hit because it's more engaging than the quiet baseline you've established. You've raised the value of meaningful effort in your internal economy. Step 4 is focus on one thing at a time. The world celebrates multitasking as if it's some badge of honor, and I can promise you it's really not. It's a complete trap. Multitasking is the perfect way to ensure you never give full attention to anything, never find flow, never get that deep rewarding feeling of being immersed in a challenging activity. And by focusing on one thing, you eliminate the cheap hits that come from flicking between tasks. You're not feeding your dopamine addiction by jumping around. You're going all in on a single problem, a single goal. And this intensity triggers a different kind of reward in your brain, one that's richer and longer lasting. And when you stop scattering your attention, you become more sensitive to the wins. Sending that final email, polishing that paragraph, finishing that design, each becomes a mini celebration in your mind. It becomes a party. And over time, these consistent hits from meaningful achievements replace your cravings for superficial nonsense. Suddenly, you're hooked on progress instead of being hooked on fluff. And here's what happens when you break free, guys. You become dangerous in the best possible way. Once you've reprogrammed that dopamine, you're no longer easily led astray. You don't need those flashy ads to feel good. You don't need their cheap attention traps. You've made the genuine effort the source of your dopamine rush. And now you look forward to pushing through a workout, chipping away at a tough problem, refining your product or building your personal brand. And while everyone else moves like rats in a maze, chasing digital scraps, you become the person who relishes the maze itself. You're playing a different game, a better game, one they can't exploit. The establishment thrives when you're off balance chasing shallow highs. But once you lock into deep work, once you re-engineer your brain to crave meaningful struggle, they lose their edge over you. They can't sell you emptiness when you hunger for substance. Your old habits won't vanish overnight. There'll be days when you slip, and even I do. And when you succumb to the cheap hit out of an old reflex, that's completely fine as long as you recalibrate and keep going. With every attempt, your brain becomes a little bit more clearer, a little stronger. It starts to associate real accomplishment. Finishing a demanding task, learning a difficult skill, pushing your business forward. With the dopamine high you once got from trivial garbage, now you're building a fortress in your mind. Instead of letting others dictate where your attention goes, you choose. Instead of being a marionette dancing to the establishment's tune, you become the one pulling the strings. This is what they never wanted you to figure out, that you could turn your own neural wiring into a weapon for your advancement. That you could stop being a dopamine slave and start being its master. They profit when you remain addicted to low quality hits, but you're done playing that role now. From now on, you'll derive pleasure from the grind and from the climb and from the very act of self-improvement. And when you truly crave hard work, when every ounce of effort feels like a step closer to something great, you become a formidable force, something that no establishment can easily attain.